Hey folks, if you're curious why I'm sitting here, well, it's a gorgeous, beautiful New York City day. It's 50 degrees, mid 50s here in New York, and it's crazy that that's the weather in early Feb, but that's the world. One of the things that I've been buzzing with is since yesterday, as I've been thinking about it, is what happens to the travel booking search box that has been there for the past 25, 30 years, ever since online travel booking came into being in the mid to late 90s, I guess mid 90s, where the travel search box has remained the same. You input the destination you want to go to, whether it's flights or hotels, the dates, the days, etc., and it will spit out a bunch of listings. Has been the model in travel search since the start of online travel. One of the things that we have been saying from about 2015, where I wrote this manifesto, for those of you who remember, I wrote this manifesto called the Manifesto on the Future of Travel in 2020. I wrote this in 2015. It became quite seminal for us in terms of putting our thinking out there at Skift. In it, I wrote what's going to break us out of the tyranny of the travel search box. We've been using the exact same search box and the exact same sort of cookie cutter ways for the past 20, 25 years. And what at that point seemed apparent or potentially could happen was messaging, as in the rise of WhatsApp and WeChat and Slack and others over that time would change how people interact with these interfaces, and potentially messaging could be a place. Messaging as a customer service tool has been in the travel industry now for a while. Chatbots and just even plain human-to-human messaging has been there for a while. So one of the things that I wrote was messaging is potentially a way, and in this case I was thinking not just human but also automated messaging. And the chatbots have been around, as you know, for a while, but just haven't really progressed until now, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. But messaging was a way to break out of the tyranny of the search box. The other thing that we also talked about was voice search, which in, again, 2015, 2016 timeframe was a new thing, and tools like Alexa and later Google Home and others came into being. Siri was there, of course, as well. And what would it do to how people interact with interfaces, and potentially that coming to travel booking? In fact, I asked Dara Khosrowshahi, who came to Skift Global Forum to speak, I think it was 2016, when I asked him a question of what keeps you up at night on what would disrupt Expedia that you are really worried about. And he said voice search potentially, meaning new ways of interacting with the interface to enable travel booking. Nothing much happened in these intervening years until now, and I'm going to actually dial back a little bit to last year, where Airbnb, when it redid their whole homepage around these categories that they've come up with, they tried to move towards a human curated version of trying to break out of the tyranny of the search box. In this case, Airbnb listings, where they came up with these 10 or 15, 20 different categories. There was a mix of sort of machine learning applied with human curation to come up with these categories, and they tried to make a more directed search into how you book a listing on Airbnb. So really the first attempt since we last talked about this in 2015, 2016. Now, with the launch of ChatGPT in November last year, and generative AI, which is the category that they are, is this larger category of generative AI, where you input a large amount of, you ask a query and it outputs in text or audio or video or a hybrid of those, has just set the world on fire. ChatGPT, I don't have to explain to you, is what everybody's been talking about anywhere in the world. Even my mom now knows in India, so it's really a mainstream thing. And so one of the things I've been thinking about is this finally the time where we break out of the tyranny of the search box in travel booking? And here's what I mean by it. If the world gets used to using conversational interfaces, which is certainly what's happening with ChatGPT, which is what Bing relaunched yesterday around, which is using the ChatGPT OpenAI tech, what Google has said it will do when it launches what is calling Bard, which is their to the conversational chatbot intelligent chatbot that's going to launch. I'm guessing Facebook is working on something similar. There a multitude. There's just been a blossoming of generative AI startups that have come in different specialty in writing and other types of sectors as well, that make people used to using full natural language queries to interface with any type of service. Will this come to travel booking search box? That's what I've been thinking. And if it comes, if where you can ask in a natural language, first with text, potentially the next evolution of this chatbot on the conversational AI world that we're in today has to move to voice search. I just can't see how that doesn't happen. That seems like a natural evolution. Both will coexist. And then you are able to break out of the tyranny of the search box and ask in a natural language. And you're already seeing examples of this with ChatGPT and Bing, but obviously they don't close the loop on actual travel booking, on book me a flight on X amount on these dates with these parameters in a very natural way, like you would talk to, for instance, a human travel agent. And if that comes, which I can't see how it doesn't come, and players like Booking and Expedia and some of the big ones, I'm sure, are thinking about it. Even I'm sure Google, with its technology that it sits on, can enable that in the relatively near future for whether it's Google Flights or hotels or whatever else, and potentially integrated in an even more seamless way in Google Maps. The possibilities are just endless, and it's absolutely nuts if you think about all the creative ways in which this could go forward. And so that's what, and if the search interface becomes conversational, whether through text or voice, and then how would the listings, meaning the results that come back, change? We've talked about personalized results for decades now in every sector, but also in travel booking, which is give me the right flight and the right hotel that I'm really looking for. And with mobile, certainly when mobile came around, that was one of the things of like, you can't really give thousands of results when people search for travel booking. You have to give the right 5 results. Hotel Tonight was a startup of an example of a hotel booking startup that used to give you very specific and results back versus all types of results. But again, wasn't built on the conversational model that I'm talking about. What would it do to how the results get displayed? And so that's what I'm buzzing about. I'm not a technologist. Our goal is to connect the dots across all what's happening in the larger world and the travel sector. It just so happens to be the most exciting time, I think, in a generation in tech. And the world is on fire. My mind has been buzzing on what the possibilities for this in travel are. We've talked quite a bit about what this means for travel marketing, content generation in travel, listings, reviews, all the stuff that we've been covering about. The role of travel agent, itinerary generation. But the Holy Grail is travel booking. It's where all the money, the majority, almost all of the money in travel industry is made. And if that interface changes, boy, are we in for so much innovation to come. So that's where I'm going to leave it. There's a million questions, very few answers today, but you know where you're going to find the answers, and certainly asking all the right questions. It's at Skift. So I'm excited that the conferences that are coming up through the rest of the year at Skift we'll have the biggest names in travel and the biggest pioneers in travel tech to speak. So we will ask these questions, and you'll find the answers hopefully on Skift as well as our events. Thank you for listening. That's all I have for today.